Hey there, thanks for checking out this video. My name is Mike, and today we're going to be taking a look at the gear that I have tried to finalize to bring to our 2025 July trek to Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. So just off the bat, this is a lot of stuff, and I am by no means trying to do an ultralight setup here. The goal of this really is to have a balance of lighter weight gear with some comfort. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything we've got here. We're going to start off with the pack itself, and I'm using a Mystery Ranch Radix 57. I found this to be a pretty good balance on our last few shakedown hikes of enough space for everything, but also relatively lightweight. This isn't a very lightweight bag, but it is lighter than some of the bags I've used previously, like the Atomos 65 from Osprey. The harness, though, is what I really like about it. It's got a really nice, if you know Mystery Ranch, they've got really supportive harnesses that are not overly heavy. So really good harness, adjusted for me. The second piece of gear for the big three is your sleep system, sleeping bag in particular. This is the Spark Pro from Sea to Summit. This is the long version since I'm about 6'2", 6'3". And I have that in a compression sack from Sea to Summit as well, which is watertight. So I don't have this fully compressed yet. I'm going to give it a little more time before I fully compress it just to keep the down okay. And also inside of here I have my sleep clothing. So that is a icebreaker, medium weight, both top and bottom long john. And I also have just a really lightweight pair of nylon shorts and a real lightweight wicking t-shirt. All right, so next piece of sleep gear we have is a Nemo Quasar 3D. And this again is by no means the lightest pad in the world, but it's about 2 pounds. This is a long and it's a wide, and I find it to be really comfortable for backcountry sleeping. I'm not the greatest at sleeping outdoors, so I do add a little bit of weight, a little bit more comfort compared to some of the lighter weight pads you can get. So I could probably shave a whole pound off this and find something lighter, but at 2 pounds, it's hopefully going to give me enough sleep out in the backcountry. All right, so the last of the big three items, of course, is the tent. So I have my tent broken down into 2 pieces. I'm using the Durston X-Mid Pro 1, which is their new freestanding tent that includes poles. So what I've done, and I actually have the ground sheet as well, I've put the tent inner, the tent outer, and the footprint in a dry bag, and I'm going to keep that separate from the poles. I also have the stakes that came with that Durston here as well, and so I'll go ahead and weigh each of these for you. And I plan to have a separate video about the Durston. I'd like to actually use it for the full 2 weeks at Philmont, and then give you some feedback from a long-term use, long-term meaning a long trip, and let you know how it goes. So tent's in there, stakes separate, and this isn't a dry bag to keep it organized, but also this isn't a dry bag, so in case the tent were to be wet in the morning, any dew, any rain, I can put it in here, I can move on the trail, and then when we have time later in the day, I can pull it out and dry it out pretty quickly. So that's the idea behind putting this in a dry bag. All right, so in terms of weight, really the next heaviest thing is my clothing kit. Basically everything that Philmont recommends. So I have a pair of shorts, a pair of long pants. I have 2 short sleeve shirts that are wicking material. They're actually branded for our crew for the Philmont trek. We have a long sleeve from them as well, so that's a total of 3 shirts, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of socks, and a REI wool medium weight base layer as well. So all of that is in here, and of course as I'm hiking I'll probably either have the pants or the shorts on and a shirt, so that's going to reduce some of the weight of the pack itself. But in the dry bag with all that clothing, pretty heavy, so that's going to run just about 4 pounds. So 4 pounds for all of my clothing outside of my rain gear. Again, taking away from that whatever I have on during the trip. All right, so thinking about the clothing, the next thing I've got going is the rain gear itself. So a pair of long rain pants, pretty lightweight there, and an outdoor research rain jacket. And I'll keep these in the stuff area of the bag just so I have quick access to those. So let's take a look at weight on that. All right, so the jacket and the rain pants just at 1 pound. Speaking of rain, we've got just the rain cover that I purchased to go with the bag. Pretty light on that, and that runs 3.5 ounces. All right, next thing is the Helinox Chair Zero. Of course, plenty of folks have seen these online before. Really comfortable chair for the weight, and again, definitely a splurge item for me. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a bit of a bad back, so having some sciatica issues, it's worth it for me to have a 1 pound chair so I can have some back support when I'm sitting, either in the evenings or taking a break from hiking. Also have a Thermarest sit pad, so you're probably thinking to yourself, he doesn't need both, and you're probably right. But I found that when I'm doing things like kneeling on hard ground to get in and out of the tent, to put shoes on, to maybe inflate the sleeping pad, it's nice to have something to go under your knees there as you get older. And so I've chosen to include that in my kit at a consequence of 2 ounces. And I'll keep that probably in the front here as well for easy access. All right, so for the hat, I'm bringing a wide-brimmed outdoor research hat. Nothing fancy, I've had this for years, use this for a lot of my kayaking trips. It cinches on the back and it's got the PF 50 just to keep the sun off me. So folds up nice. Weight on that, just under 3 ounces. And then for clothing as well, for an outer layer if it gets chilly, I've got an REI puffy that I've used for a while. And of course I'll compress this a lot more before we head out. Weight on that is 14 ounces. All right, so as far as camp shoes, I'm sure there's plenty of debate on what to bring, if anything, for camp shoes. Our crew's philosophy is to have something that if for some reason your boots were to fail, you can still walk. And also if you're having a lot of water crossings, something you can take your boots off, even waterproof boots, put your camp shoes on temporarily, do your water crossings as long as it's secure, like these sneakers would be, and then switch back to your boots. So plenty of people bring Crocs, I'm sure, maybe even flip-flops for camp, but I've chosen to bring just some lightweight sneakers. Of course, there will be a weight consequence there, but I think that that's worth it when you have camp each night and you can take off your boots. 1 pound, 3 ounces, just for these sneakers I have. A couple basic things here. I've got a Sea to Summit, just simple bowl. This one's got a little Thermarest on it, which is nice. So adding that. 3 ounces. Have a Toaks. This is a single layer cup, not a dual. So for that reason, I bought a little hot lips for it, so I don't burn myself drinking the morning coffee on the trail. And also it has measuring on there if needed, as a backup to what we're gonna have in our crew. So that is 2.5 ounces. And then Sea to Summit Spork, long handle, so we can get into those bags if we have bags that have the food, the boiled water in them without getting your hands, into that food. And that is a whopping 0.3 ounces to add that. So let's put all that together, keep it simple. So 6 ounces for the dining system. So just kind of some basics left here. I have another dry bag, and this bag has some additional things for camp. So personal towel. This is a pack towel from REI, pretty relatively small one, just to use for odds and ends. And of course it's on the list for Philmont, so adding that, 3 ounces. I have a bug net. There is, I think, one night we're going to be at one of the camps that has known to have a lot of bugs, so we've added that for the face, and that is 1 ounce. Got an old Petzl light that I've used for a while. This has a rechargeable battery, which I'll show you in a second. I am actually bringing a battery pack and a cable because I'm bringing that camera, right? So for that reason, I'm going to use the core battery that's in there, and that light is 3 ounces. And then our crew is all carrying these Ride on the Rain notepads, and of course a pen just to make any notes, any thoughts along the trail if we were to need to do that, and that weighs 2 ounces. Okay, I have a just a little neck gaiter, and that's from Buff, so keep the sun off my neck, 0.5 ounces. And then our crew all purchased these Philmont Tooth of Time because we're doing a Tooth of Time trek. We're actually hiking out of Tooth of Time on our last day and staying up there. So we got this, is it upside down? Let's see, there we go. So we got this Philmont Tooth of Time bandana, which the bandana is a part of your crew list. So we're all kind of matching there and having a fun souvenir as well. And that is 1.3 ounces. All right, we'll have a proper first aid kit. I'm just carrying 2 or 3 Band-Aids just so I have those on my own. And that's 0.5 ounces. I also have a little bit of the, this isn't duct tape, it's that clear tape you can use to repair things, maybe for like my tent or for, maybe if a pole fails, and that's 0.5 ounces. I've got our Trek, so that weighs nothing pretty much. And then just some duct tape. This is for my poles if my poles were to fail. And just a little scrunchy elastic band. Those always come in handy, so all in that's about 1 ounce. All right, toiletries, pretty basic, just toothpaste and a tiny toothbrush. And then I'm carrying just a little bit of shampoo in a bag that for the 2 or 3 days that we have access to shower, that's in there as well. One thing that's not in here yet that will be added before the trip, thanks Amazon for your overnight shipping, is just a little chafing stick. Since we don't use deodorant, that hopefully will help just with, abrasion on the trail as well. And then everything else is crew gear, so things like our bug spray and our sun spray is all being carried by another crew member. So cosmetics, 4.7 ounces. I wear glasses, so I'll have either sunglasses or regular viewing glasses on me. The other pair of glasses I plan to keep in this little plastic case just so they don't break. And then I do actually have some Luca tape tied to both sides of this, just so I can carry that if things come up for blisters, etc. We'll have a little bit more of that as part of our crew kit, but just a little separate extra tape is needed. So the glasses case, 3 ounces. All right, got some medications. I mentioned having a bit of a bad back, so I'm bringing some Advil, a couple other, just over-the-counter medicines. That's about 3 ounces to have all of that. And then, of course, totally optional here is a day pack. Our plan is to do our hikes early in the morning, and then after we've done our hikes, we can do our ranger-led activity, the program activity early in the afternoons. So to carry my camera that I mentioned before, to carry a water bottle, to carry a raincoat. I've just chosen to bring a day pack. My brain of my bag does not turn into a day pack like some do, so I've added this instead. And that's 5.5 ounces for that bag. I'm also using this as my carry-on bag on the flight, so I can have that same set of gear with me, my batteries, my camera, water bottle with me on the flight, so doubling for that as well for travel. And then I've got a battery bank. This battery bank is going to be used to recharge the camera that I'm bringing. I'm also bringing an Apple Watch Ultra, so I do plan to have that on the lowest power mode available, but I do want to actually track the treks that we do in the mileage, so this will be used to recharge that. All right, so one of the final things here is a set of Black Diamond trekking poles. These are just aluminum ones. I do have the rubber tips that Philmont requires for Leave No Trace principle, and so those all in is 1 pound, 2 ounces. The final thing is we have, this is just for the travel portion, we have all purchased as a crew these laundry bags from Amazon, and I've actually, all as a crew, we've gotten these Philmont luggage tags. And the idea for us is to travel on the airline, to have our bag fully packed and then put those bags inside of this and cinch this down. And so that way, as we're traveling, this takes the brunt of the abuse of the luggage handling, and our bags hopefully don't lose anything. So this is a travel only item, but this is something if you're thinking about how do you get your bag out, to New Mexico and you are traveling on an airline, something like this hopefully is going to be, a good choice. My plan is to do a video after Philmont and kind of talk about a debrief of what worked and what didn't, and I can give you some more feedback then on this bag, as well as really all the gear to see what worked and what didn't. So thanks again for joining us, and see you next time.